Hey, welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode. What is today? The 23rd, right?
Yes.
Am I counting okay?
Yeah.
Woo! Last week was hot.
Big time.
We had a hot week last week. You guys ready for today?
Yeah.
I felt like there's a little bit of a calm before the storm for some reason this morning. Like today's going to be a stormy episode.
Really?
Oh, man, I got so many messages. Like there was massive amounts of pushback, and I got called all kinds of names. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
For sure.
Like
Controversy.
Guido or
Well, it wasn't quite that bad, but
Not nice here,
some,
Matt?
some not nice
Oh.
words.
Were they being racist to you, Matt?
I've decided I'm just gonna say it was happening, and I'm not gonna acknowledge who. There's a few. I'm not gonna acknowledge who and what exactly was said, but I've been really like, it's a little frustrating because you guys all know what I'm trying to do here, right? I'm trying to literally open the door to all kinds of different people's perspectives with this podcast, with my other podcast, sharing stories, that encourage over comfort that we weren't able to continue to do, and some of that. And so I've really dedicated the last year and a half to listening to other sides, other things, and just opening that up. So those of you who are joining us right now, thank you for joining us and for kind of going along with what we're, or not going along, trying to understand what we're doing here. So I appreciate that, because when you try to take a 30-second thing, you're going to take it out of context every time. And you're going to do that off of your confirmation bias. And that's evident in one of today's stories. So LeBron James deletes a tweet. We're going to talk about that today. Athletes who take a knee or raise a fist in the Olympics are going to be, they're going to have some punishment. We're going to talk about the first human monkey embryos created. We're going to talk about 3 reasons why smart investors are dumping Facebook. And so we're going to put all that into context. So if you're going to listen for 30 seconds and you screw it up, that's on you. Not on me.
unless it fits your agenda.
That's your confirmation bias. That's you go right ahead. But I have offered this platform, my platform, to many, many people of many, many views, and more people turn me down than say yes. And that is a matter of fact. So I'm not going to drop their names or do anything or shame them or blame them for not coming on for any type of reason. It's their choice, but then don't attempt to crucify me for it. So there's my rant for right away.
You sound a little bitter.
I'm not bitter at all. I think it's
Passionate.
interesting.
I call it passionate.
I think it's interesting that grown adults try to do what they're doing right now. I mean, they say they're better, and we're going to talk about this. People meddle in other people's lives, and the older I get, the more I see and understand that, and the more I don't want to be a part of it. I want to understand where they're coming from, hear their voice. As long as they're not changing their opinions every 12 and a half seconds, as long as they stand on some sort of principle and values and that kind of a system. But we see so many people that are just simply wanting to holler and scream and have TikTok, fame and all those things. And it's not why I do it. So just to be transparent, I don't think I'll ever be famous.
I think
I'm not
Jackie
trying to
was
be.
agreeing.
And Jackie's chilling. Yeah. Jackie's chilling with us today. But let's run around the room. And to my right, Lisa, how can we get a hold of you?
Lisa Lingle. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram.
Harmony Sage, you cannot find me on Facebook. I have a 30-day ban once again. So I would say if you want to reach out, we have this wonderful podcast. You can say hi. If you have my phone number, call me. If you don't have my phone number, don't call me. And I'll be up to date with you guys in 30 days.
Martha Makashadi on Facebook and Mike Lindell's new platform, Frank.
And Craig Ugland on Facebook so far and Instagram.
And Martha May, grab a hold of that mic, and you know what we talk about. Get that big thing in your face.
All right.
Hey, we've got someone from North Carolina. I know that we're going to basically shout out the comments at the end of the podcast, but North Carolina says hello. So hello, North Carolina.
Hello,
Thanks for
North
joining
Carolina.
us.
Yes.
And let's get into athletes right away, because athletes are just like really in the forefront with the Olympics coming up, and LeBron James and some of the other people that are going for it out there. I love their talent. I love their opinions, but there is a proper place, in my opinion, to share those opinions. And it appears the Olympics think so too. The International Olympic Committee announced Wednesday that its ban on athletes demonstrating in official venues will remain in place for this summer's Tokyo Olympics, and reiterated that kneeling or raising a fist in protest will be grounds for punishment. What are the details? It says that the IOC's Rule 50 states that no kind of demonstration or political, religious, or racial propaganda is permitted in any Olympic sites, venues, or other areas. But the committee agreed to revisit the rule amid pressure after American athletes made it a commonplace occurrence to protest their own national anthem as a way to call for racial justice in the U.S. I'm not going to continue to read. I mean, it's a complete article, but I think that this article out of the Blaze is interesting. It's good that it's being exposed. Let's talk about it.
I think it's great. They said that there's no area on the stand or at the opening ceremonies for any kind of personal agenda, except there is when they're back in the village. Any social media, anything like that they want to do on their own is up to them. The only thing is, it said they'll have repercussions, but I couldn't find any repercussions. Like I went to this Rule 50.2 that states that specifically. Actually, there's only 61 rules for the Olympic Charter, so that was kind of interesting. There's only 61 rules, but I could not find any. It said a sanction for a year. It didn't say any kind of monetary value. It didn't say they couldn't play. So it's kind of like we're threatening you, but there's still not anything set in stone or any kind of directive that says what will happen. So I think they're kind of leaving themselves open.
It's a lot of interpretation.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's going to do.
Gray area. Yeah.
I don't think this is anything new.
No, it's not. No.
The Olympics have been very non-political for a long time, except for when a whole country
backlashes maybe. Last year there was some pushback.
Doesn't go to the Olympics.
Last year there was some pushback.
Like
the United States, whatever athletes that competed kind of tried to set an example on their own, precedents on their own, and that's why they're addressing it now, is because of this everything that's going on this summer. This past fall, they came out and said the International Olympic Committee is the one that's stating this. There's individual Olympic committees and different things like that down south and everything that they're still allowing it.
Well, the U.S. Olympic Committee is allowing it at U.S. tryouts, but the IOC, who runs the actual Olympics, they're the ones that are saying, no, not here.
Yes.
So
yes,
boycott is the word I was looking for.
Boycott, yes.
I imagine they're just trying to, there's a certain amount of days that the Olympics are held. And, I'm just kind of looking into it is if everybody were to do this, from how many nations and countries come together to decide to say what's important to them or what's, for inequality, I could only imagine how much time that would take. So I really kind of get it's about unity. It's about coming together, competition, good sportsmanship. I think that they're just feeling like, hey, let's nip this in the bud. This isn't what this needs to be about. And let's just move forward together. That's kind of what I was getting from it.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Like Craig said, it's nothing new by any means.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great. So.
I think it's setting the athletes on a podium and on a stand, looking at their, athleticism instead of politics.
Yes.
The way it should be.
That's one of the big reasons you've heard me say it. I've said it here. I've said it to y'all personally. I don't like professional sports because it's gotten so political. I mean, that's one of the reasons. There's a few, but I don't want to be entertained and then it be politicized. I mean, seriously, they're very talented. And if you want to use your intellect also, then create a place to do that. Mm-hmm. But the place that you created was based off of your physical attributes, based off of what you've dedicated your life to physically to do. So intellectually, go for it. Do it on your own time, your own place, your
You
own
know, the people who
money.
are naysayers about this is what I say. If you don't like it, don't do it. If you don't like the rules that they put into place, don't do it. You know, yes, it's a free country. You have a right for free speech and everything like that. But you don't have to be part of the Olympics then. Do it on your own time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm totally for that, but free speech kind of sets it aside into a public area. So this is a public area, right? I put this out publicly. It's live. We're doing this to the world, essentially, if you put it in that context. So they're doing this. There's rules. The Olympics
Yeah.
has rules. So you have to go there and participate based off of their rules. Like, look, I don't want to get kicked off Facebook for 30 days like Harmony does. I mean, you know.
I think it's a blessing in disguise. I'm
Right?
finding the positive here.
Yeah.
We shall see.
But or YouTube or anything like that. But the point being is there are rules, and so we're trying to be careful to abide by those rules, because I want to talk about the 99% that we can talk about on Facebook and YouTube and all that. Why take away the 1%?
Right.
You know, I'll talk about the 1% in other places.
Right.
And that's kind of the point. So these athletes, I think for me is they're taking that 1% of their intellect. And I'm not saying they only have 1% intellect. I'm saying they're taking that 1% of what they have to say, placing that part of their intellect into their sports, into a venue, into NFL rules, into NBA rules. And they're putting it in a place that says, no, you can't do this. And then they just keep bucking that system until they change the rules.
Right. So I
And-
wonder too, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was
No.
just thinking, so we're talking about this now, so let's fast forward, and I wonder if there will be a rebel, I guess, one that will be like, hey,
You know that would be.
yeah, I'm waiting for
Absolutely.
that.
That's what I'm saying. What will their
Well,
repercussions be? They
the
don't have any-
consequence.
yeah, they
Yeah.
don't have any repercussions set in
It'll-
stone.
I think it'll be who it is and what they say. If it's not to belittle ping pong, but if it's a ping pong player from Tibet, they're probably going to have a little bit different approach than if it's an NBA All-Star from the U.S.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They're obviously
Well, they point out the
Interesting.
U.S. is the place that they've been having the issues. It literally
Shocker.
says here that right. I mean, are these other countries in their sports? Are they using it as a political or religious or racial platform? No. I mean, I haven't seen it. Some of these places take their sports pretty seriously too. Like literally, some of these soccer teams officials have been
Right.
decapitated because they didn't like it.
Right.
You know, you start taking some of these political views and racial views and all these things to some of those places. Woo, it gets bad.
there is no freedom of speech in a lot of those countries.
No.
And one of the things I love about the Olympics, it's like that one, I always felt it's that one place where you can all come together and then there's no fighting, there's no war, there's no, I'm sure there's disagreements. I'm sure, I imagine there's a lot of behind the scenes, but it's just that one place where all countries can come together and I don't know, feel peace and feel like, healthy competition and unity.
Yeah.
Unite.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just that commonality.
Yes.
That's just a
That they all have something in common.
yes.
And there's something really special about that. And I think also not just within your own community or country, to be able to meet all these other people, to be able to branch out and find harmony, no pun intended, amongst, everyone. So,
And why tarnish that?
right.
Mhm.
And
Because
yes,
of your
exactly.
personal political views that most of the other world and probably most of this country don't really care about and don't want to
Right.
hear it when they're watching the Olympics.
Just go have some fun.
I
agree. What's going on?
Well, we should put a wager then in 6 months and see what the final results are. 3 months.
Which country is
Yeah.
going to be
The-
the
Yeah.
rebellious?
yeah.
Well,
Are
If
we
you want-
really going to pick you as?
If you want to make a stand, really, if somebody wants to make a stand, everybody should boycott the Olympics in China in 2 years or 4 years.
Yeah, it's 4 years,
You
right?
talk about-
Or are they going to do it in 3? Or they're going to get back on schedule,
assume.
right?
would think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I think they're going to. I thought I heard something about that, but
You want to boycott, people taking advantage of because of their race, their color, their creed, their religion. Boycott China. They have prison camps in China still. They're persecuted. They're killing their own people
Mhm.
because they have wrong beliefs.
what's interesting is that some people, including I believe a few athletes, have said that it's not. Those aren't concentration camps or prisons or anything like that. It's you're talking the Uyghur Muslims that have been persecuted and some of that.
Yeah.
So
well,
they say that what that is actually, you know, the Chinese are saying, and some athletes are supporting it, is they are they're joining the military, a certain branch of the military, and so some of them are dying because of the training and stuff like that, accidents apparently.
or
So
re-education
that's kind of one of the
camps.
things.
Just go to the
Yeah.
showers and
Yeah, I know.
No
It's
band
Well,
camp.
they'll probably still have COVID in China in a couple of years anyway, so we don't have to worry about that, right?
who knows. All I can say is thanks for joining us, and go ahead and hammer that like button, hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it.
Guy with a boner. It wasn't even Jeffrey.
We are live still, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's fine. It's not actually against the rules. But let's talk about LeBron James, since we're talking about wonderful athletes. Did you guys see any of this yet? I mean, obviously you saw the article, but LeBron James, this is out of MSN. LeBron James deletes tweets saying, "You're next," to officer who shot Ma'Khia Bryant. Let me just say, Ma'Khia Bryant, I was very sad to hear that that she passed away. I feel for her family, her foster family that she was living with at that time. A sad deal whenever a life is lost, especially a young life. But he says, LeBron says, "I'm so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police," in a tweet on Wednesday that shared a photo of the officer who shot 16-year-old Ma'Khia Bryant and included the caption, "You're next." There's a lot of this here, I guess. Let me skip down to this. The comment led to backlash from some U.S. senators like Tom Cotton, Ted Cruz, both of whom accused the Los Angeles Laker of inciting violence. In another tweet on Wednesday, James said that his anger still is here for what happened to Bryant, who was shot and killed on Tuesday in Columbus, Ohio, shortly before Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder and manslaughter in the killing of George Floyd. According to Bryant's family, the 16-year-old had called 911 to request protection from a group of other kids who had threatened her. "Anger does any of us any good, and that includes myself. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though," James tweeted. That's a quote by James. "My anger still is here for what happened that little girl. My sympathy for her family, and may justice prevail," is what he had said, why he deleted the tweet.
Have you seen the video?
I have seen the video. Some of them. There's like 3 of them out there.
I've just seen one, and it's put your biases aside and put yourself in that police officer's shoes. You roll up to a scene. You don't know who's good, bad, ugly, otherwise. You see somebody with a knife attacking multiple people.
I'm going to interrupt you a quick second. Someone posted here a comment, and if you're watching, listening, this has nothing to do with us. Whatever this code is, that I am not taking any responsibility for anybody that calls that number and puts that code in. And here again, someone using someone else's platform, Frank. So that's interesting, but whatever. Go ahead, continue.
Well, I was just going to say, putting yourself in that officer's shoes, and
we'll talk about the video first.
Yeah,
talk about what you saw.
So the video is the police officer pulls up to the scene. There is, LeBron referred to her as this little girl. Well, she looked like an adult. She was not a little 4-foot tall girl. And she went after one girl, had her on the ground, and then turned and went to another girl, and it looked like she had her pinned against the car. And that's when the police officer shot her. You roll up on the scene. You don't know who's good, bad, or otherwise. You see one person with a knife attacking other people.
Yep.
What are you to do? You're going to protect everybody else from the person that is the threat.
Yep.
So she was in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was literally knife in hand, in motion, swinging towards another girl pinned against a car
Yeah.
Correct.
when the officer shot her.
Correct.
Mm.
Was that the video from the neighbor from that angle?
This was the body cam from the police officer.
Okay, I just seen the video from the neighbor, and that was clearly she's in the wrong. Clearly,
And so
yeah.
a little off base, but attached to this is last night with the Patriot Guard, we held a flag line for the Olmsted County detention deputy that passed away last week on duty, and some of our members have conceal and carry permits, and we had said if something happens, if something doesn't look out of place, if you are carrying, don't pull your rifle or don't pull your sidearm, because there's 50 police behind us and they don't know who's good, bad, or otherwise. Let the police handle any issues. And we talk about that at any law enforcement funeral. The police don't know who's good, bad, but if they see somebody pointing a gun at somebody else, that's who they're going to go after. That's who they're going to concentrate on. It's the same thing with this. I mean, I feel bad for everybody all around. The 16-year-old young lady that was killed, her family, and the police officer. I mean, they have to live with taking the life of a 16-year-old.
I asked this last week, but who's going to want to be a police officer anymore? I mean, really, we just, talk about all the stresses and everything. And it just, they are the highlight in the news every day now, every day. George Floyd, Dante, this, even the George Floyd statement came out, and everything. The next day, the Floyd family says, now we have to be down, Reverend Jesse Jackson and all those other guys, we have to be down protecting a black woman, and everything like that and stuff, from a police officer. Who's going to want to be a police officer anymore? I mean, you guys, this country has to take a spin on this.
I want to know why the headline didn't read "Police Officer Saves Teenage Girl from Murder."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From or maybe not murder, attempted murder or whatever, but or a knife, a knife attacker.
Yeah.
Instead, they say cop shoots black girl. I mean, come on.
And then last week, or earlier this week, maybe there was a carjacking in Minneapolis, and BLM protesters went to go protest it, and then they found out that the driver that was killed.
I was just miles away from that. Just miles away from that. Seeing the troopers come in.
To Brooklyn Park. It's like.
Yep.
So I'll give them this. It's a BLM. They say Black Lives Matter, right? They do say that it's cop violence and attacking, and that's one of their missions or whatever. So it's a little gray, I would say, but I think that again, they didn't get any of the facts. They made an assumption that it was a black person that was killed because that's what the rumors fly around every time. Well, a cop pulls his gun, it must be on a black guy, black girl, right? Then that's just not statistically accurate either.
No.
Yeah. I'm in an emotional moment. I mean, I felt for him. I felt his frustrations. I felt his anger reading this article. I have a 16-year-old son, so I couldn't imagine, dealing with anything like that. But at the same time, even though I had these emotions and these feelings and frustrations, I could relate with him at the same time. Wording something like "you're next." How did he think that was going to be taken? It's very threatening. And oftentimes I do agree with all of you. The media is just so much to blame. And whether it's, us watching the news or reading articles, and they get us all stirred up and they get us confused. And then we get things like this. And then the celebrities want to have their take and their say on it. And we all know that they have quite the influence on things that they stand for. And then in turn, it's like snowball.
Yeah,
it's a very big snowball.
Right, and Brett Favre comes out and says that he doesn't think that the killing of George Floyd was racial. He doesn't think that it was a racial thing, and I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're trying to cancel Brett Favre for giving his opinion. But LeBron can incite violence, and it's okay. Right. I'm sorry, it has to be the same no matter what, and that's what the BLM groups say that they're fighting for. Right, is that they're fighting for that equality. And they're not seemingly doing that.
Yeah.
Craig, I think you touched on it too. Imagine this police officer going to, wasn't it 1-2 o'clock in the morning? Here,
no, it was in the afternoon.
No, it was in the afternoon. 1-2 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Like
so going to this home, here's this visual of this person with this knife and everything like that. I mean, people have said, she's 16 years old. She's still a minor. Where are the parents? Where are the parents?
Well, my understanding was it was a
Foster.
foster, so things were probably already taught.
Why wasn't
there
she in
anyway,
school?
Yeah.
but That's a good question.
So many questions, right? I always go
So-
back, like, what is going on in the home? And we often know the statistics are out there that children that are in foster homes are not always, the best. We want them, we strive for those foster homes and those foster families to be amazing. But a lot of those children that come into them homes have already been in other homes and have already dealt with a lot of mental health issues. So obviously we can't speculate and we would want the evidence, but I would imagine that as you guys are thinking, there was probably so much more going on before that. And again, we question whether you're the the biological parent, the guardian, the foster parent, there's responsibility there and there's reflection. I know as a parent, when my children do things or say things, I often say that has something to do with me and how I brought them up and how the things that I taught them. So I definitely feel like there should be some accountability there as well, not necessarily for the action that was taken, but I always have more questions.
Well, and this isn't the blame game, but just so many questions to answer. What about the two girls that were going to attack her, went to her house to confront her, or whatever the
Right.
situation is? We don't know any of that background.
Right.
But what we do know is what happened with the police officer when
Mhm.
he arrived. And for LeBron James, who was extremely high profile and well regarded in his community, to come out and say what he did without knowing the facts, it's George Floyd all over again.
He was listed in that Olympic article too as being one of the activists.
Activists, yeah.
Yeah, the BLM, Antifa, and everything like that for the Olympic thing. So
I think we should go back to old school, and if the pro athletes can't keep their mouth shut at the Olympics, we'll start using college kids again.
There you
You
go.
know what?
I'm
It'll
sure
give
they'd
the
be
other
okay with
the-
it.
Yeah.
absolutely
right.
Yeah.
give the other countries a fighting chance.
Yeah,
in some of these sports.
And I want to say that for the United States, 1A, I'm completely the First Amendment, right? Free speech, right to assemble, 100% on board with that. But it doesn't, but you can't do that on my property. I can ask you to leave, and if you don't leave, that's trespassing, right? You can do that on your property, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. So it all depends upon that platform. If you're trying to abuse someone else's hard work and what they've laid out as a foundation, then I'm sorry, but I don't think that's the right way to do it. LeBron James, he didn't do that in this case. He did, in my opinion, kind of mishandle his fame the way he did this, but he did this on his own platform. And so that's okay. I just want to make that really clear. However, it should have been handled much, much better.
Exactly. You think of how many people are looking up to him, whether they're kids or adults and stuff like that. And what's to say somebody, oh, well, he said this, somebody's going to take it the wrong way and go do this. You know what I mean? He's very influential, much like any other people. I'm not just saying him, but I think what he did was wrong. I definitely think it was wrong.
And sorry, go ahead.
it's infringement. I mean, you're talking about LeBron James. It's infringement. But two, tell them to put their money where their mouth is. Literally get to the root of the cause. I'm sick of the blame game, but then there's no plan of action with this whole BLM Antifa program, incentive, scheming, scamming, whatever is out there.
So I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I should have pulled them up, but I did read them. I believe it was last week. The BLM movement, and I want to say this as I think, the BLM, the little b, the little l, the little m, not the organization themselves. I think that's good. I mean, we should support that and Asian lives and all of it, right? So I think that's fine. But the organization itself, I think, has some holes, and that needs to be looked at and addressed. And so the thing is the support for BLM was before George Floyd. I want to say it was around 16 or 17% nationally. It went up to like almost 30% nationally after George Floyd, when we saw the video and the embellishment of what that was. And some people didn't wait for, and I was guilty of it. I was very emotionally distraught by what I saw, and shame on me for not feeling the emotion, but for not waiting for some of the facts, right? But I got caught up in it too, because it's a very traumatic thing to see. they're down to, I believe, about 6% support right now
Wow.
nationally. So they're literally
Wow.
below the support that they had pre George
A
Floyd.
year ago.
And at George Floyd, it went way up. And I say that because they wanted this conviction for Chauvin, right? For the murder of George Floyd. They convicted him, but they're still rioting.
Right.
I
They got what they wanted. So
they
stop.
got exactly what they
Yeah,
wanted.
they got what they wanted. So
and so my point of what I said earlier is values and principles. You get what you want, it's time to pack up and go home.
Well, they might say there's also 3 more men that need to be on trial, and that maybe, I'm not saying that that's what their reasons are, but there's still more to come yet. So maybe in their opinion, Chauvin's not the only one. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
But that's the thing that they said, yes, that they said that they needed a conviction, this murder conviction for Chauvin.
Right.
And so where do you end then?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, there were 3 others there. Yeah, they got to stand trial. But that if you protest, go. Good. Love it. Protest. Hang up your signs, or hold up your signs. Do all those different things. And this is what we believe in. This is what we're going to do. Money where your mouth is. Well, they're taking other people's money when they're burning these businesses down.
Right.
When, I asked somebody that, I think I told you guys this. I got a few different phone calls on one episode, and one of the questions the gentleman said about January 6th and the insurrection at the Capitol and things like that. And so I asked him to define insurrection, what that looks like, and that he explained that, well, that's attack on any type of government buildings or government, places. And he's talking about that. And I said, okay, I respect that. I said, I agree that the thing that happened at the Capitol was a disaster. There's still a lot of information that we're going to probably never know. There's a lot of information still coming out all the time. We're seeing new videos all the time of police officers, or at least people dressed like police officers, opening doors and gates and all these things. So there's still a lot coming out on that. So I said, okay, if they're attacking federal buildings or state buildings and property and things like that, that's insurrection. What's BLM and Antifa doing?
The courthouse in Oregon and all the other rioting.
Police station in Minneapolis.
Right. Yeah.
the Capitol, our
Christopher
Columbus,
Yeah.
even our Christopher
There's-
Columbus statue.
This is government property. This is a property owned by the people. And so the very definition of what they are saying they don't like about January 6th, and I agree with, I don't like what happened on January 6th on those sides of the violent portion of that is no good. But you can't have a different organization attacking federal buildings, state buildings, and saying that it's okay. It's got to be congruent. It's got to be a level field. It's my 28.5 cents.
And I was just going to say, just to end this, is, we put like you said, we put a lot of emotion into this, and, with excluding some facts sometimes. And, we do have free speech, but I think it's amazing if you can, be mature enough to take a moment, take a breath, a pause, instead of just picking up that phone, because it's so easy for all of us. We get a moment, we get a thought, we're like, I need to post this on Facebook, or I need to do this. So maybe, go outside, take a little break, take a breather, maybe take 24 hours, and then decide if you still feel the same way. And even if you do, because I know that I've had those thoughts and I still feel passionate the next day, there's a good chance you're going to word it differently. You're going to put more thought into how to be more respectful with it, and how to get your point across a lot more in a better way.
Yeah, you're going to align that with your principles and your values.
Right, because you
if
think about
stop
that.
and think.
There's so much emotion, but if you think about it, you're like, I bet this would work a lot better. People would listen, or people would hear it if I worded it this way. And we just have to, I think, I would encourage people to just do that. You can use that in all situations. You're getting in an argument with your husband, take a pause, go outside. We all say things that we regret.
How would you argue with your husband?
Right?
Yeah, why?
Somebody didn't dig out the garbage again.
Put phone seat down.
Good Logan takes care of all that.
Yeah. That's true.
I'll take out the garbage.
It's true.
Hey,
You heard it here first.
you guys check out this video.
Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it.
3 reasons why smart investors are dumping Facebook stock before it's too late. Wow.
Going down.
I you know,
MySpace 2.0.
right, and they talk about that Facebook problems, blah blah blah. I don't know. I don't know what part of this to read.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not even gonna
there's-
lie to you. Today I'm reading this. I'm like, why does he look like Data from Star Trek? But I didn't want to be
let's
rude.
put
but
him up there.
He's a younger version of Data.
That
I don't know what that
I'm
is.
just gonna throw that out
That's
there.
true.
I noticed the word George Soros.
And I feel bad because I
That's
don't want to
no
judge
good.
people like that. But every time I see this guy, if you saw him, I think when he did some stuff at the Capitol or whatever, he just has this look. He's very robotic, and I'm just calling out because I know other people think the same thing too.
you put you put that kind of that pale makeup on.
Yes,
He
and
totally
his
would
eyes, and he's
Data.
all. Why is his eyes always so bloodshot? I got questions. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's a
from
busy dude.
California.
He's a
Maybe
busy
just
dude.
complexion be any better? Isn't this the guy who sat on a briefcase at a hearing? Right?
He did.
Yeah.
He sat on a
I
briefcase
guess I
because he's
don't-
too short.
Because he's too short. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a
Get off
side-
his looks, guys.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I am so
He's
sorry
a
I brought that
human
up.
being.
But I'm just saying, as much as I wanted to focus on the article, I was like, wow. But I don't know.
No, let's talk about his looks.
No, that's not nice.
You love
They
Star
can't
Trek.
all
So you're
have
like,
I
hair
do,
like
I
you,
do.
Matt.
Do
God.
you remember that? I didn't hear. I didn't hear.
I
What you
said we all
said.
can't
I'll
have
get
hair like
this.
you,
I could be
Matt.
Jordan.
Jeez.
I'll get
Yeah,
this.
you
yeah,
should
yeah.
be the face of Facebook.
Yeah, there you.
Yeah.
My
that
hair.
would-
Gosh.
Yeah, that
I
would
was
be-
walking off of an
Don't
airplane.
get me started on the community standards.
That would be nice.
I was walking off of an airplane, and the other day, and this lady, a flight attendant, she's like, "You have really great hair."
You wanna give
I
her a
said, "I hear
shout-out?
that sometimes."
You want to give her a shout out?
I don't know what her name is. I didn't see her on the flight at all.
Lady
She-
on the plane.
Well, you probably
she
had
was
your
a flight
mask on, so
attendant.
she had
She
nothing
has
else to look
nothing-
at.
Exactly.
She was back
Yeah.
with the riffraff and coach.
Yeah.
It wasn't up front
Possibly.
first class.
I wasn't up front. Yeah.
I still love that because I always think of
See-
Beyonce's Becky with the good hair, so I'm always thinking of Matt with the good hair.
Yeah.
When you have your mask on, then
And
other
I've
things-
always, like, since a teenager, I've always taken care of my hair. It's
Yeah.
always been a thing for
Well,
me.
it's working
Pretty
for
boy.
you, Ariel.
It's
It's
true.
working for you.
Yeah.
Different caricatures.
Yeah. I know.
What
Yeah.
is going on today?
I'm sorry, we went-
Good looks. Good lord.
That's okay. We usually
Jeez,
don't.
though.
We don't usually do this, so I'm feeling
No,
like
it's
it's
we're
okay.
loosening up a
Yeah.
little bit because we got this last article is going to be intense after this one. I
It sure
think we're going
is.
to have some things to say about it, and so we can be loose with Facebook and money, right?
Facebook. It's almost become a joke. Can we? That's why we can laugh
Absolutely,
about it. Can
I
we-
agree.
It has. And I'm frustrated. I have a 30-day ban
again.
again. Well, it was like 2 days, 3 days, 7 days. Now I'm at 30 days. So, and mine's memes, and I take responsibility for some of my memes, but they are ridiculous. And I actually went and read a few different articles about their community standards, this and that. And this is, I believe, is a little different than this. But what I'll say is that sometimes they're blocking people or not letting people that didn't even do anything. So there's a lot of controversy there. I tried to find an article because I was just kind of my own self putting some emotion into it, and I was a little annoyed, but I couldn't. But so
And they're
Facebook,
going back years to find stuff, and it's like,
I
triggered
know.
much. Come on.
This was like 2 months ago, the one they decided to be like, hey, we're going to give you a 30-day ban. I'm like, okay. So I don't know. I got to watch my P's and Q's, obviously, with Facebook.
And these.
Yeah.
I look at Facebook as totally different. I'm on Facebook constantly posting memes and jokes and stuff
Yeah.
like that. On the business side, it is so important to me.
Mhm.
It's basically free advertising or very, very little advertising. It would, when I look at my taxes at the end of the year, I'm shocked at how much money I do spend on Facebook with my business,
Mm.
but I get that return.
Yeah, the return
Unbelievable.
For sure. It used to
Yes.
be anyway. I don't know.
I'm still seeing when I look at my, reports and stuff like that, I still see a great feedback. Has the demographic changed? Absolutely. You know, when we read the article here, it talked about the younger generation is definitely on TikTok or Instagram or stuff like that. And I feel like, again, looking at the business side of it, seeing a lot more numbers with the middle-aged, so to speak, people following on Instagram versus what I was seeing on Facebook. But it would be very sad. It would definitely be a new area that I would have to market to see Facebook diminish. That's the business side. As the personal side, I agree. What are they doing? We're just posting jokes, posting funny things, making people smile. What's going on?
Well,
the banning.
I was just going to say real quick, I'm okay about that. I love to see a company, you know, saying, hey, we care about, you know, what our people see in this. So I love that. My thing is there's hypocrisy in it. There's contradictions, things that I'm posting. Obviously, I stole them. I did not create them myself. I found them on Facebook. Hello.
Right.
So what is up? Are you getting the first 100 people that posted that too? So I have issues in that way. And I want to know who's behind the scenes. I have questions. Who's behind the scenes making these decisions? Because it's funny because you get in your notifications at 1:57, they decided this goes against community standards. And I obviously disagreed this time. And they said, but at 4:57, we still disagreed with you. And it's like, and they also had a statement of like, we were able to block you and we think this is inappropriate, but we don't have enough staff. So it's going to take, you know, quite a bit of time to decide if we agree that you think you disagree. And I'm just like, what is going on here? So we got robots? Who do we got? We got data behind there. I'm just wanting to know who's behind the scenes making these decisions.
Somebody that's extremely sensitive to anything that they don't agree with.
Well, once you're under the radar, then they're constantly checking back on that same account.
Probably. Maybe
You know
that's
what
what
I
it
mean?
is. I made myself
Absolutely.
a target. I
I
don't
know
know.
that
They're like,
is.
she's really inappropriate. We gotta
Oh,
let's check back. I don't
And
know.
the funny thing is, like, and there's some stuff that I've seen, like, should be pulled down. You know, don't be bullying people. Don't be,
Yes.
you know, the swearing stuff like that. But a joke is a joke, and it's relative to who's reading it. But yeah, you can go in Messenger, and it's a free for all in Messenger.
Yeah.
It is the wild, wild west, and everything goes. And it's like, maybe it's because it's behind closed doors. They don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, supposedly I'd heard too that they're sort of tracking Messenger as well too. Like if you're sending, like say for example, something about like the same message or maybe even picture or GIF through, they track it or they I don't know if they flag it or something. So I don't know what's up with that. If they're feeling that it's, I'm not thinking what the word is. You know, spam, scam, or, you know, just like somebody just keep trying to promote something. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like, and I know Messenger sells, they're following it because they also disabled my Messenger for, so I can't respond to any of you guys or any of my people. So if you're trying to, I can see your messages and it makes it look like I'm a huge doorknob where I'm like, I see your message, but I don't have time to respond. It's not that. Messenger says no, and they're not giving me any time frame. They're going to decide when I can start talking again. So I've been silenced.
And
I've
you
been
say
silenced.
community guidelines. You talked about that a little bit. And the one thing, all they need to say, they don't even need to have these community guidelines. They just need to leave that one sentence that says, we'll assassinate you for any reason. Right?
pretty much.
I mean, they don't say assassinate, obviously,
Right.
being
I was like,
hyperbolic,
wow.
but
Yeah.
they literally say we can ban you for any reason.
Do whatever we want.
I mean, so why have the guidelines?
Right. If we don't like it, we'll take it down.
Yeah.
Okay, take it down. Tell me not to post that again, but
There's
But-
just, I think they're kind of harsh, but you know, I get it. They're trying to set an example and like, hey, don't do
It's
this
too
again. But
late.
it doesn't even matter because again, the hypocrisy's there of like, so it's like, I don't know.
it's
But
massive
what I will
hypocrisy.
tell you is because of all this, I have definitely thought about, because I do realize that, you know, we all overuse these social media platforms. We just do. So it is a blessing in disguise. And hey, I'm going to go read a book and maybe take a walk in nature. I'm okay about it, but it is making me think I need to find something else. Facebook is peeving me off. I'm annoyed not just because they're trying to be awesome and try to spread joy and like not people see like pornographic stuff and inappropriate things. It's just, again, it's the contradictions and the hypocrisy, and that really makes me mad. And how it's okay for one to do it, but not me, or it should be equal.
So what if LeBron James would have posted what he did on Facebook? And what if someone like me would have said that's offensive? Would Facebook have removed that?
I don't know. That's a great question.
They got reported enough. They would check into it.
Well, enough. Yeah, enough.
And,
and
you
have
know,
to be enough.
I suppose, yeah, if somebody,
But do you know that? Sorry. Do
No.
you know? I mean, no, I'm
No.
asking.
Yeah,
you.
no,
Is it
I
one
don't.
report or is it multiple
Oh,
reports?
yeah, no, we
or-
don't know that. We don't know what their
So, I mean, we
scrutiny
can't
is.
say that until
Yeah.
we know the facts with
Yeah.
that.
I guess Facebook is like all of them. Twitter, I mean, Twitter, I don't know. They say, I'm trying to remember how they word it, but Twitter says that they're a worldwide platform, and so is Facebook, but they say that it's a worldwide platform, so they have to abide by, the rules are set basically off of a world standard. But it's clear when after President Trump exited office, they literally assassinated over 100,000 accounts on Twitter. And so you create that echo chamber and you get the LeBron James, and then it's okay. So he's not going to get any complaints because the people that think that's offensive they're not going to be on Twitter,
Right.
right? They're already gone. So
Right.
that's the other problem that you have too. So if you, in other words, what I'm saying is you start complaining to Facebook and you're complaining about this and that, and they're going to be like, well, maybe we just don't like you.
Yeah.
And they're just going to take that down.
I post
You down.
several maternity photos and tummies and and there was this one that was a pregnant mom. There's some people like them, some people don't. For the most part, people don't. And somebody did report that photograph, and it was one person. Didn't tell me who it was. One person found this offensive. They didn't say one person. They said a person. So I assumed it was one, found this offensive, and asked me to take it down.
If you don't like it, keep scrolling.
keep
But again,
scrolling.
that little
Yes.
button there, all you gotta do is, do you find this offensive?
And Harmony, you talked about tracking Messenger, and I'm going to be very careful in how I word this because it's a friend and I don't want them to get in trouble. But a friend of mine works for the government, and he has to be extremely careful on. He asked me to not send him anything that has to do with his job and how it could be misconstrued, because his employer is able to track what they are receiving through Messenger. He's like, you can send all your other stuff, just don't send anything on this subject.
Interesting.
That's right. And we're not supposed
Because it's a
to
hot topic.
we're not supposed to say this. I think it's on Facebook's platform. His initials are ES, and he lives in Russia right now because he's the United States. So ES. I think you have his book, Martha May.
Yeah.
So we're not supposed to say his name.
Can I?
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, part of we
He just said
cannot say
no
his
3
name.
times.
It's nice outside. It's not snowing.
And he came out and he exposed all those tracking mechanisms and things, and the different algorithms that they have and how they can track and your position and what certain words that they have, and it's been out there forever. And so it makes sense that what you send and receive, they're watching. And I don't know if I don't think it's right. I
No.
don't know if I care.
Well, I just look at it as like I'm small fry. Like I don't have it, I don't work for the government. I'm not, so I'm like, I don't care in that way because I'm not hiding anything. Like,
And it comes back to, if we don't agree with, it's like the Olympics. If we don't agree with their rules,
right.
don't be on it.
Yeah.
Right.
But they have us addicted.
So
I know.
Sometimes
Right.
it's actually helpful though, because I mean, you're like
Oh, yeah.
looking for a new drink
Who
bottle,
is
and all
this
at once,
person?
wow,
I'm
12
gonna
more of them
keep-
pop up the next day
Yeah.
with a good variety. I'm just saying.
Or you can keep
It's all a
potential
bad
clients
thing,
to see
you
if
know.
they're good better anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
We're at Shields looking at a bike seat. All of a sudden, I'm getting advertisements for new bike seats, a bike horn. Yeah, everything else like that. It's like, well, go figure. How do you
Yeah.
Got some pros
Sneaky
too.
little guys, aren't they?
And spandex pop up.
so
They did biking shorts
Biking
too, and
shorts.
an air horn, a little air horn you can put on your bike that sounds like a Trump train. Oh my gosh!
Oh boy.
and with that, hammer the like button. Check out this video.
Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it.
It is time to talk about macaque.
Monkeys.
Thank you for saying it that way. I was like, I actually was sitting there. I'm like, macaque, McKay. I'm like, that was funny.
It is said macaque.
Macaw.
No, it's not. Look it up. It's macaque.
I'm still looking up the article.
I looked-
We should go with my
First
McKay.
it's your hair. Now it's what?
Now it's your what? Yeah,
Oh my, we are gonna get banned.
it is.
that would
It
change
is
things if you got
actually,
off a plane
according
and
to
they said that.
Merriam-Webster pronunciation, it is macaque. So, first human monkey embryo created.
It's a new drink.
The Urban
A,
Dictionary?
a small. No, it's not. It's literally Merriam-Webster. That's how it's pronounced.
This is going to be next year's celebrity baby name because it's spelled so differently.
Right. Yeah.
Macaque West. Sorry, had to go there. Okay, we're getting serious now.
Is that the puppy's new name? Come here, Macaque.
Macaque Kardashian. Mm.
Everybody's gonna tune out because we're just cackling. But
Completely derailed.
Sorry.
oh, this is a serious subject, and but that's why I had to say it the proper Merriam-Webster way. So go ahead, look it up, and hit the little. Have you ever seen those?
Don't follow up with that.
Have you seen the Merriam-Webster?
You
You
guys are
can
making me
literally has the little speaker.
Mm-mm. It's this.
Okay.
These poor monkeys.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're making fun of the monkeys.
Oh, this big. This thing.
Little.
I don't know. Maybe my other macaque is. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, let's get to the
Okay.
article.
Going
Let's get to
forward.
the article. Let's get to the article. Scientists have created the world's first monkey embryos containing human cells in an attempt to investigate how the two types of cell develop alongside each other. The embryos, which were derived from macaque and then injected with oh boy. We shouldn't have started it out that way.
God.
Serious subject.
How about every time
Here-
you say it, we have to drink?
Ask our producer to get us some shots. Or what?
I gotta go back to work.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
we're crying.
So the embryos, which were derived from
That depends.
okay, we'll skip that part. Were allowed to grow for 20 days before being destroyed. We have a term for this type of life form, a chimera, named after the fire-breathing monster of Greek mythology. That was part lion, part goat, and part snake. I don't know. Let's just talk about it. I know we're trying to keep these things at an hour. We're at 52 minutes.
Right.
So I won't keep reading it, but
I think we can agree it's a little controversial. The article, I encourage, anyone to read it just because there's so much more to it.
there's a ton
And it's so scientific, but what bothered me is that first of all, it always bothers me when the scientific and medical community just play God and they decide to do this and they do that, and they don't even think to consult the public. And and I get it, you can't do that with every little thing, but do you ever think that maybe we're not into this, that maybe we would not want this for ourselves? So I think of things like that. Plus, I always am thinking, they had mentioned this is for future, say, organ transplantation. There is a shortage. 17 people die waiting for an organ transplant every day. And I can only imagine, being that family member, being the actual person waiting for the organ. I can't imagine. I really can't. So it must be so emotional and devastating. But first of all, we have to understand, there's dignity and there's respect, and the fact that the human cells are going to be in here. We don't know the future. We don't know if there's going to be cognitive abilities, feelings, emotions. And we're also basically, again, playing God, saying, hey, it's okay, that they may have feelings and emotions and know what's happening, but we're going to treat them lesser than. And we are basically saying we're using them as a need to for us as humans. And I have a big issue with that very much. And also, why aren't you not promoting organ transplantation or organ donation? I'm an organ donor. I see and I feel the importance of it. I know that when I pass away that I will not need this anymore. And I hope that I can gift this to somebody. we definitely need to be encouraging. There's other things that I think we need to be doing to be helping these individuals that are waiting for, I believe it's 125,000 or something like that, numbers waiting every year. I look into the future and I just see terrible, terrible things that can come from this. And first of all, I feel like as humans, we're taking a step backwards instead of forwards. We are definitely not respecting life in any way or form. And I get it. I get the medical things. They're like, oh, we can, maybe see what's going on with Alzheimer's and things like that. I get it. I see it, but I'm still, as an animal lover, just a lover of life, that this is not good.
So they're talking about like moral status and studying them, and then this would raise other ethical issues. And, I just think of my own personal beliefs and what about religion? Where does religion play into all this? I know that opens up a whole nother can of worms with, where does life begin?
But really any religion, because most religions, this is not okay. I mean, it just doesn't matter what religion it is. I mean, there's some, I guess, that this is okay, and I'm not going to throw a bunch of names out because I'll know I'll miss one and things, but a very large percentage of the world religions that we currently have, this isn't okay. It's just not okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to say that it's
right.
just not just one religion.
Right. I appreciate that. Thank you for adding that in.
It's a tough one. We're
playing God.
We're playing God.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, if you want to go the religious part, is if your God didn't want us to do this, he wouldn't have given us the intelligence to do it. So it's
sorry. I'm kind of like, yeah.
And I'm not agreeing with it. Personally, I think
there have been
going
those
down
statements.
Right.
I've seen those statements
I've seen
too.
too many movies where it's like this could go really bad, really
I've seen
fast.
Jurassic Park.
Right. And they thought that was a good
I
idea to
Am
bring those
Legend,
back.
so-
I'm like, well, and if anything, what I will say about that is that as humans, we definitely feel pretty strong. We're on top of this food chain. So let's bring the dinosaurs back. Let's knock us down a peg, and maybe we might start having some compassion and sympathy
For each other.
And my issue is big time with this is that we have enough prejudice and discrimination amongst each other. Why are we going to create a new species to only knock down a peg? No, we need to start treating each other a little bit better and then possibly start thinking along those lines. My way of thinking is there is so much other things that we can do that we are not, being less respectful or losing dignity and taking care of living things. Again, promote organ donation. I get it. There's some religions that don't believe in it. They won't do it. But boy, there's a lot of people out there that I also think have misinformation about it. They're scared to do it. There's so much that we can do to get that number up of people donating. And I don't know what the statistics are of people dying per year but I would think that it would increase significantly. Don't think that I didn't think in the future that we would have these mad scientists doing this and that, and we got cloning. But my thing is, I saw all this coming. My issue is we're not thinking of the repercussions. We're not thinking of the consequences of what can happen. And also the issue is I know people are, and they still don't care.
They don't care. That's exactly
And
what
I have a huge issue with that. Like, oh, we thought of it, but we continued with it, and we're just going to wing it.
You've heard me say this, y'all here, and people listening probably haven't, but I say meddling. We meddle too much. And even if you believe in evolution, which I do not, which a lot of the scientists that are doing these types of things, they believe in evolution. Well, then why are you messing with evolution?
People die every day.
On that level.
People
even
die
on that level.
Sorry.
Right, and we're doing everything we can to not die, but that's part of evolution.
But it's part of it, right? And it's like, what is our ultimate goal here? Do we want to be immortal? Is that the thing? We want to live forever. We want to live to be 150. You cool with that? Like, I'm okay. I don't want to live to 150. I'm exhausted. This life is hard. Let's move on. Learn the lessons you need to learn. I don't know.
I barely get around at 45. There's no way I'm.
What? I'm only gonna be 46. I'm tired. I got bad knees. I don't know.
Speak for yourself. I want to live.
I bike in 20 miles. Oh my gosh.
No.
I want to live, Lisa.
Yes. I really do want world peace.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think of that movie. It was an In Time with Justin Timberlake. Where you can buy time or whatever, and you can live for a great amount of time. And it's like, why? You see all the people, die, you live to these great amounts of years and you see your family members pass away. I don't know. I just really,
I would say start teaching our younger people to start living younger.
yes,
Don't waste 10 years of your life in the bar.
there you
Get
go.
out and experience.
Live
Put your
life.
dang phone down. I mean, not that I don't condone going to bars, but put your phone down and go experience life.
Have an attitude of gratitude. Appreciate what you have instead of sitting there, trying to reach for something that, what I mean? Just live in the moment,
Be mindful. Be
Thank you.
mindful.
And be mindful of everybody. Like 20 years ago, even longer than that, but I thought my way was the only way, and sometimes I still do, but it's the only way for me. And that's what we need to realize. We need to be mindful of that. My way is not the way for everybody. It's
Right.
the way for me. And this kind of thing, that when they're meddling, they're not giving anybody any sort of choice. And what the first thing that I thought of when I saw this, and is there the second thing I thought of, and I'll tell you the first thing in a second, was the second thing that I thought of was they're trying to justify, because they're to cure these diseases and all that.
Mhm.
And it always starts out as a justification.
Yes.
I talk about that with my daughter's death. It's a justification. She justified because she was on a straightaway and it was flat and all those things. She justified that. And we continually justify things rather than look at the consequence of it. It's a calculated risk is what
Mhm.
I call it. Like anything we do is a calculated risk. So the thing that they do is they justify it. But the first thought I had is if they can't get this COVID-19 thing right, that has like
People are getting sick. Yeah.
98% of the people who get sick, whether it be any age, survive.
Right.
If they can't even agree on that, they can't even agree to disagree,
Right.
let alone
And they're
any
getting
of it.
sick with the second dosage, and then they even stop.
I didn't say vaccine. I'm talking just COVID-19 in itself. I mean, you get it without the vaccine, and 98% of the people are living.
Mhm.
So it's like, if you can't get that right, you're going to start messing with genes like this and embryos and all that kind of
And
stuff.
you have no idea how it's going to turn out. I mean, and obviously I'm thinking far future of like, literally you could just, I don't know, I'm imagining something walking around and being able to, having these human cells. And again, we're discriminating and judging, and it just bothers the heck out of me. I'm like, why would we do that? And plus we don't even know, like, if these organs that they're wanting to harvest, transplant, are going to take. Our bodies often reject things many, many times. There's complications. So you're going to go ahead and go forward with this with the hopes. And also, I didn't like the fact that they assumed in this article that, that they realized it was going to be controversial, but they decided to go forward with it anyway, with the assumption that when you're in that position or situation yourself or family member, you're going to take it. You cannot assume that. You cannot assume that because you're in that grief-stricken emotional situation that they're going to, knowing where this organ is coming from, that someone's going to be fine with it. That's assumption.
Thankfully, they can't add emotion to robots. Thankfully.
But okay, so let's go down a rabbit hole. If they can clone a half human, half monkey, couldn't they clone an army that is thoughtless and just, this is conspiracy theory stuff,
Right.
but like they could clone an army that has no thought and basically is a living robot and does exactly what you tell you. Do we want to go down a road like that?
And they did talk about that, of like how in the future humans could have the capacity or capabilities of like bat sonar or something. I'm like, who wants that? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess maybe I'm a different sort of person. Like,
there is no religion nor evolution on the planet currently that says that they should be able to go in and do this. I mean, I really can't think of any religion that says we can play God with genes and things like that. Atheists, but is that a religion? I mean, they'd tell you obviously not. Yeah, right. So like a very huge percentage of the people on this planet don't think that this is okay based off of their belief system, including the belief system of evolution.
And you said something, Craig, about like, would God create all these man with knowing that we would do this? We have free will. So he created us with having this free will of knowing that we can do this or we can do that. And knowing that man created war. God didn't create war. God didn't put man on the earth and said, hey, have war for thousands of years. He created man. He created woman. And we have been so fortunate to make our own decisions and choices, but we've also suffered, for our consequences. I can name many, many things in history that are a perfect example of that, from the Holocaust, you name it. God created us, but he created us out of love and with good intentions that we would go forward and we would do better.
Right.
And this is not doing better. We're going backwards, even if it looks futuristic, even if it looks like that things can be that we can be helpful. We're not, because the whole point of all this is it's not just about humans. It's about anything that's living. I'm talking about humans. I'm talking about animals. I'm talking about trees and plants, even the water you drink. The moment you take advantage or underestimate any of that is the moment that we all start going downhill.
Even Harmony, going back to Adam and Eve, I mean, God gave them the opportunity. Satan, is where things go bad. So when we look at that, God wants good things. Man doesn't listen to that all the time.
Exactly. And that's part of us learning too.
Created with free will to decide what to do with that. And
right.
So, and that I think is the point that you were making too. And this isn't free will. What they're doing here is not free will. They're creating something that they literally said they're killing at 20 days.
Yeah.
So they know that what they're doing may not be right, so they're stopping at 20, but then they go to 30, and then they go to 40, and then we're going to let it go full term and see what happens.
Yeah, and then they were talking about then you got a newborn, and it's being tested on, experimented on behaviorally, cognitively, and it's just like, God, it's just disgusting to me. I know that, this isn't the first time we've all talked about experiments are being done, whether it's on humans, animals. It still doesn't change my opinion. I'm still not a big fan of it. I always just say this. If you want to experiment on your damn self. Be a guinea pig. Stop taking other people and animals to do your work. You're curious? Put a needle in your own arm. That's what I say.
Last call. Anyone? Going once, going twice.
Sold, Harmony.
Where can we find you to not be?
You can find me. Harmony Sage. You can find me temporarily. Well, you can find me temporarily. Escape the echo chamber, because you can't find me on Facebook for 30 days.
29.
What's that?
29.
Thank you. Yeah.
Lisa
Lingle. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram.
Craig
Uglin. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram.
Martha May
Kashadi on Facebook, and Frank.
And you can find me everywhere. Minds, Parlor, Gab, still on Facebook, Instagram, all of them. Matt Logan Speaks, everywhere. Thanks for joining us.
Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us.